This episode of the Siam Hockey League News is brought to you by the Big Chili magazine, where in this issue there's an interesting section that talks about a period of history in Thailand called Journey Through Thailand's Past, 1987 through 1991. So we've just finished off week 4, and there were some surprises and there were some not so surprises.
This felt like the top teams just kind of continuing to get back into form and playing well.
I'd agree there.
And a lot of really good defensive plays, takeaways in the offensive zone, so to speak, when the other team was trying to break out, where if you make a mistake and you let their top players have a little bit of time and space, they can make you pay for it. Yeah,
that's very true. I saw a lot of that, especially in the second game, which we'll get to. The first game, although on paper it didn't look quite so competitive, but I felt Siam Mandalay, at least in the first period, they kind of, not counting the goals, I mean, Dream had a rough night in the first, especially in the first period, but outside of that, the team itself played quite well, in my opinion.
Yes and no. I feel like it was a tough night for sure. Part of the problem, as I just said, was it was just sustained pressure over and over, and Dream and the team defense, I'll call it, of CM didn't get a break. You saw KCG players forechecking, getting some takeaways, able to get sustained pressure. 2 of their 4 goals they scored in the first, which we'll get to in a second, came off of rebound plays, right? So it's just you didn't have CM being as promptly...
They scored their first 4 goals were all in the first period.
Exactly, but what I'm trying to get at is that CM couldn't quite seem to break out, get relief for Dream, it was always within short order. They'd give the puck away or have a takeaway.
Get to the neutral zone, and then, but I mean, I think if you look at what they did against Aware, who is the bottom team this year, and they're trying to continue that in this game. That's what I saw. But it's hard with a team like KCG, or if they were playing the Novotel Spitfires. But
I don't think the opponent really mattered. I think you would have seen a similar result in that Dream and like I said, the team defense was just kind of caught off guard, I think, early, and it went from bad to worse in very short order.
Well, yeah, I mean, Jan opening the game up less than 2 minutes into the first period, so picked up a sweet pass from Yari.
Same scoring play from a week ago. Man, those two early, cut 2 games together, seemed to just have some nice chemistry, and the pressure just didn't let up. Winnie following up on a rebound goal with assists
coming from time. So, and then you had a goal from Jesse, gets back on the board. Assists coming from team captain Harrison. And then you had Phu
subbing tonight. Played very well.
Yeah. He I was really surprised when he didn't sign up as a full-time player this year. But I understand he's probably teaching a lot and stuff like that. So, and it's nice to see him get out on the ice.
Sure. I think the biggest story in this game, besides what we've just discussed, is also the fact that CM was missing 2 of their top defensemen in this game.
Yes, they
Mike
were.
Wilson had a break this week, and he was covered by Hideki, one of the top Thai national team players, whose fantastic skill was on display just after this. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, as well, Yin suffered the loss of his grandfather. Our condolences to Yin and your family. And that happened just before game time. And I really think that CM as a team was missing their presence on the ice.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing that I did notice between the first and the second period is Harrison telling his guys not to take their foot off the gas. Keep going, keep doing what they're doing. And there was no conversation like that from Jordan. Jordan was like, all right, come on, boys. In my opinion, I just felt like there wasn't the urgency coming from Jordan that there was from Harrison.
Before I talk about that, just want to quickly get at the end of the first period, as I alluded to, Hideki with a fantastic backhander streaking up on the near side boards, and I'm looking like, as a Chicago Blackhawks fan, look like a Pat Kane shot. Honestly, this was super high skill. Backhand, flipped it up and over. KCG had Liao playing Liao, of course, and one of our top goaltenders.
Yeah.
Over Leo's.
It was a beautiful shot.
Beautiful shot and goal. So just before saying that could have been play of the week in my opinion.
It was. There were a couple plays that were that could have been chosen. That just, I mean, it was in the running. I'm not going to say that it was absolutely was in the running, but
anyway,
we'll talk about that later. Who got that, and which I felt was well deserved, especially through the whole situation.
But getting, as you say, into Jordan, one other issue is that unfortunately for the viewers, we had some broadcasting issues, so we didn't have the whole period shown greatly. But there was just a kind of a cascade of penalties back and forth, and that really hurt their momentum. I know that both teams were chirping about the officiating calls, as we've discussed with other players in the SHL. You control what you can control, guys.
Right.
I feel for you. I sympathize. It sucks. But you can't let those external factors that you yourself have no power over affect yourself and your game too much.
Right. But you can have the same game. I mean, there are the two penalties that Darius got. I saw the hooking, and yeah, he absolutely did hook the guy. Mm-hmm. The tripping call, it was out of my line of sight, but I see it happening in frustration. So.
I know one of their guys, I forget the exact play, I think it might have been Patrick Forstner, caught a high stick, saw him recoil and go down. There was a no call on that. They were upset about that. So again,
well, there was a call on that. I mean,
later, this was a different one.
Okay.
Anyway, point I'm trying to make is that, again, I sympathize, guys, but you kind of need to try and put up or shut up, right? Control what you can control. Seriously, though, right? You can chirp all you want at the refs, but that's not going to change the outcome, right?
That's true.
How do you make them shut up? Get pressure, right? Try and put points on the board.
You got to get through the neutral zone, and that was their biggest struggle. They were struggling getting through the neutral zone. They could get out of their end, but they couldn't get through the neutral zone.
And that credit really goes to the KCG team defense. Very good forechecking. Really good
Great
job pestering.
back check
as well, right? Just pestering. They were doing a bit of a 2-1-2 where you kind of had two forwards pushing the plays to the boards, and you had some guys, as we talk about, when you're down in the game, you might try and press a little bit and do a little bit too much and try and dangle around two players, and more often than not, what's going to happen is one of those guys is going to mess up the play for you, and then it goes back the other direction, and you have team defense have to come back in again. We discussed the fact that there's a lot of extra spacing out there. You have a lot more time chasing the puck. And that was just kind of the story of the second period, back and forth, not a lot of sustained action, even though we had some power plays. Credit,
CM, their power play was not so good this night. I mean, again, I think this was another situation where they had there was a delayed penalty, and they couldn't capitalize on it, and you got to be able to do that. Either that or get the penalty, get the call, have their guy touch the puck. They couldn't do it. They had 6 skaters on. They pulled their goaltender, but they just couldn't capitalize on it.
It's tough. As I said, scoreless second period, or excuse me, not scoreless, but in the second, Jan got his second goal of the night, stretching the lead back to a 4-goal lead, 5-1, and then the third. Siam was able to get back in it a little bit again. Turner Johnson with a nice goal.
Yeah,
right? He had a pretty good game. I think he played well. As you were alluding to, they had some penalty time. We had a scary moment where knee-to-knee unintentional completely. I watched the video later, completely unintentional. I talked to Harrison about it. I talked to Patrick about it. Thankfully, Patrick seems to be okay.
Yep.
Right? So I know he's got his own injuries that he's worrying about. So it's tough. You appreciate the guys out there.
When you're playing hard and you're skating hard, I mean, I've done it. I've moved and done a quick turn or a quick cut on the ice to try and get out of the way of somebody, but your body leans and your lower part of your body doesn't move as fast. And these things happen, But
as you were alluding to there, they had major penalty, 5 minutes time of penalty, and couldn't really do much.
Yeah. So it was major penalty plus Harrison was they
because of the injury.
Gave him a misconduct. So. Yes, but it was a good game, and especially tough first period for Siam Mandalay, and it's when you're down 4-0, it's so hard to come back, and Hideki tried to start things off, but again, you can't do it. It's almost, I won't say it's impossible, but it's almost impossible.
Almost any sport when you're down several scores like that at the start of the game.
Yeah.
Either you turn it into a barn burner and you come back because the leading team takes their foot off the gas. But as you said, Harrison did the opposite. He was like, hey, guys, like, let's keep it up. Let's play.
Yeah, don't coast. Don't coast.
No, they didn't, and they did not. They played well through the whole game. KCG, I give them a lot of credit responding themselves from a loss to Novotel.
Yeah.
So, and Siam, you picked up your first one last week, a couple weeks ago now. What can you do? It's a tough loss. Dream went from an excellent game to a tough night, and that's going to happen.
After the first period, though, he was quite solid.
Played very well after the second half of the game, correct? Second two-thirds of the game. So, chalk it up. Chalk it up to one of those games is what I would say.
Yeah, and move forward. Learn from the mistakes that happened. Try and stay out of the penalty box. Both teams, but yeah, I mean, second period especially, third period, I felt, Dream was coming into his own. So, but
work on your power play. Work on your special teams play. Do what you can.
Yeah.
I think, as we'll talk about in the next game, Novotel has done a really good job of this. They pretty much every time have a blueprint of what they want to do. They have a nice umbrella-style power play. I'd like to see CM and these other teams. What is your game plan, right? Mm-hmm. And if you've had a game plan up until now, how do you switch it up? Do you overload one side? Do you try and go behind the net and get the goaltender to be turning around a little bit? There's a lot of different options you have.
Yeah, and our Rolling Stone Pizza Player of the Game for 2 goals on the night went to Jan Isaksson.
Well deserved. 4 points in 2 games.
Yeah, he's doing well. So, and I had a chance to talk to him after the game. I'm here with the player of the game, Jan. Congratulations.
Thank you.
2-goal game.
Yeah, it's nice. It's been just 2 weeks here in Thailand and got my 2 goals today. So I'm really proud of the team also today. I think we're playing really good out there. So.
And it's a big comeback after last week's loss.
Yeah, I mean, it was my first game here, and we were really pumped for the game. But they got a good team also, so I'm glad we could bounce back today. Pretty good game. So.
Excellent. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
And now we come to our second game, and things were in an uproar even before the game started. I don't know what happened. All I was told was, actually I wasn't even told, I was asked if they could, if there were any goaltenders, and then Gabor was going to play, and he ended up playing. He played for the full game. I don't know what happened. All I know is that there was a disagreement between the captain, Justin St. Denis, and Gabor before the game. But I'll tell you what, I think for this season, Gabor being as angry as he was, this was the best game he has played all season.
I liked Aware's response in this game, I'll call it. So as we've alluded to, there were some fireworks even before puck drop, and that tension you could cut with a knife. It was there the whole game.
And the first period was like, they controlled Novotel throughout the whole first period.
Both teams had quality chances.
Yep.
Both goaltenders played extremely well. Ben and Gabor, to his credit, were going save for save. The teams both had a power play opportunity. Both penalty kills did a good job of limiting the opportunities. There were some chances, but as I talked about, goaltenders played well, and it really felt like, wow,
I was amazed.
We were shocked. We thought that this kind of type of adversity, what we've discussed on many occasions in the early going this season, has kind of hurt Aware. It seemed in this way it actually was a benefit for them. They played with passion. They played with fire.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'll be honest. When I had seen what was going on and some of the reactions of the captain and some of the players on Aware, I was kind of like, oh no.
Here we go.
This is going to be an ugly game, but it was a really good game, well fought by both teams. So
I think they, as I just discussed, played well. In spite of everything that happened, played pretty well. This was an interesting game. Novotel, quietly in the second period, I almost will say, just went about their business. I'll say it, and scored 2 goals promptly. First goal
was by Major.
Set up by Menkorn, Major by Menkorn. I talked about it on the broadcast.
Yeah, and it was a quiet but very pretty goal. I mean, it was like they didn't do anything fancy, but Major picked his spot, and hit it.
Sure.
You know?
And it was a muted celebration in comparison to Jan Isaksson in the previous game. I'm jokingly, no. And I like Jan's passion. That's why he earned star of the game because of his great play. What I mean to say is that Novotel just acted like this. Well, this is normal for us, right?
This is what we do.
This is what we do. And right after
that, Mike Friesen, assisted by Thomas Stastny and Ralphie.
Ralphie getting his first points of the season.
Yeah.
Right? Nice to see. He plays well each week. And Mike, just making it look easy. That's the third goal, excuse me. But his defense and his strong play, along with Stastny and the rest of their forwards, they get turnovers, they create plays, and they finish them when they have their opportunities.
And then going into the third period,
John, FBI
Aware get on the board, power play goal. I'll tell you what, it was quite funny. I mean, they had the opportunity before this, and they couldn't capitalize on it. They had the one time in the first period, they had the one time in the second period, and then Ralphie was called for too many men. John, taking advantage of it, picks up a pass or receives a pass from Brendan Vick, and I don't know if it was off target or what happened, but all I know is it went off of Lance's helmet and into the net.
I was watching this play, and they did a great job of getting kind of slot from the top pressure on Lance.
Yeah.
And as we've discussed with Lance, he's a great goaltender. He's not going to quit on any play, but that aggressive play style can sometimes push him out of position.
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 times before the final goal, you had a great opportunity. Lance is kind of on the one side of the net, and they couldn't quite put it in. And finally, on like the third or fourth try, as you say, bouncing some crazy bounce off of his helmet, John is able to put it in.
Yeah, so it was like, I just sat there and I laughed. I couldn't believe it. Great shot. Well done, John. Lance, it's hard to stop pucks with your head. You're not playing soccer.
And I gave him the announcer's curse right after this. I was saying, man, Lance has played really well tonight. I credit him with him promptly right after we had Mike Friesen giving the lead again, stretching it back to a 2-goal lead for Novotel. Excellent steal in the neutral zone, bringing him back in.
All by himself.
So,
pretty goal.
And as I said, announcer's curse on Lance. 2 quick responses.
Yeah, Roger. If Roger, number one, I'm going to say he's the number one player on Aware right now.
I think that's a fair statement.
And then you've got Roman Lairn. And I'll tell you what, Devin hit Roman with such a pass, and I don't think Roman was expecting it, but you got to give Roman credit. He stayed solid, quick shot, beat Lance to tie the game up. And
that feeling of euphoria, Aware was in this game, coming down from a 2-goal deficit on 2 separate occasions, all 3 goals in the third period. All the momentum's in their way. We're ready for maybe overtime hockey or a game-winning goal.
And 45 seconds left.
A dagger from none other than
Ken Kinmorn.
Quiet all night until the very end of the game.
Puts the game winner in. It was a pretty shot.
It was a great shot.
But
it was a tough angle shot from the bottom of the left circle. He was streaking up the near side boards in front of me. Once he gets ahead of steam, he has such great agility.
Yeah. He loves this big ice.
Yeah. Gabor, he played so well up until that point. All things considered, it was a tough way to go out.
Yeah. And so our Rolling Stone Pizza Player of the Game went to Mike Friesen for his 2 goals.
Well-deserved captain of the team. We've already discussed it before. Other captains, other players, talk to Mike. See
what is he doing.
I think part of it is his leading by example.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I'd agree with that. Between him and Harrison, they both do the similar things. They go out and they say this is what we're going to do, and then they go and do it, and everybody follows suit.
They let their play talk for them, right?
Yep. So.
Great takeaway. That was, that neutral zone steal. And I'm just going to briefly go back to the KCG game because I talked to Jesse before the game. I was like, hey, guys, you guys had a loss last week. What are you looking for? And he didn't mention offense a single time in the 30 seconds to a minute I spoke to him. He said, we need to play well. We need to support Liao, do the little things, get some takeaways. And I was like, hey, you haven't mentioned offense once. He's like, you know what? When you do all the other things well,
the offense comes.
Exactly. And that's what happened. That's what happened to him and his
Yeah.
team, KCG, in the first game. That
Yeah.
first period onslaught against Dream, and then in this game, that's what Novatel's done.
Yeah.
They get takeaways
They
from
do it-
Stasny.
they do
get
it
takeaways
time
from
in,
Mike
time out.
Friesen. Their defense does a good job of moving the play forward quickly.
Mm-hmm.
They have skaters up and down that lineup who can hurt you.
Yeah. So Mike Friesen with the player of the game, well earned, and I had a chance to talk to him after the game. I'm here with the Rolling Stone Pizza player of the game, Mike. Congratulations.
Thanks. It was all because of the previous gift of beef jerky.
But that was a close game.
Yeah, no, it was, it's classic Spitfire hockey. Our game plan every game is just score more than the other team, so it worked.
It seems to be working for you. You got 4 wins in the win, or blah, you got 4 in the win column.
That's better than the other column. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing. It's working well.
Excellent. Well, congratulations again.
Thanks, and a big shout out to Christian for joining us for his last game.
So our Jerky Monster play of the week went to Roman Laren for that quick shot that he got on Lance to tie the game up. I talked to a couple of the guys that were like, he was surprised. You know what? If he was surprised, he deserved it even more to be able to maintain his cool, maintain his composure, and still get that shot off so quick before Lance could get across the net.
Well-deserved. Roman, we talked about your play last week, I believe it was, 2 assists. He's just a solid, full package defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
And more than that, as we were talking about off camera, is this game, as we talked about, had some tension and some drama. And he was encouraging his countryman Gabor the whole night, saying, picking him up, congratulating him on some good saves,
Mm-hmm.
So I really loved his team game and picking up his goaltender on a tough night.
Yeah, it was really good. And so that was well-deserved. And here's Maddie to talk about that.
What is up, my fellow SHL enthusiasts? This week's Jerky Monster goes to Roman Laren. Awesome play, brother. I heard you scored a laser goal. Apparently, Lance didn't even see it. But congrats on that. And your Jerky Monster is waiting with Dom. And we'll see you guys next week.
So in the downtime this week, we had some interesting moves made behind the scenes. The Siam Hockey League Committee talked to Gabor, and he felt it was in his best interest that he would step down. He's not happy, so I think he'd rather, like me and like anybody that I can think of who plays any type of sport, if you're not happy, it's better not to play, because when you're playing and you're not happy, you're just miserable, and you just don't do your best.
And
It's
it's this double-edged sword because you're doing something that you enjoy, or you should enjoy.
You should enjoy, but if you're not having fun,
it brings you pain, right?
Yeah.
So, look, I think this is all for the best. In all honesty, before this game, we had heard fireworks off, or I shouldn't say fireworks, but embers off the ice of things that were, some tension. That's going to happen to any team who's going through some losing
especially
streaks.
when they're down. They're 0-3 and now 0-4. So,
and as we've alluded to, they've actually got on paper a great team.
Yep.
It's just about getting that chemistry working together. And I think with this move of Gabor stepping down, let's get some reconciliation and move forward.
And I think in doing so, what they did, Mike Friesen offered up Lance. So Lance is shifting over from being the second goaltender for the Novotel Spitfires, moving over to Aware. I think this is a great move for Lance. I mean, he's going to get more ice time.
And Ben as well.
And Ben as well, absolutely. And playing shinny with Lance last night, he's taking this quite seriously. He's doing warm-ups and practicing things that I haven't seen him really do. So I'm really excited to see how he's going to do.
As we've discussed, him and Ben have done an excellent job in the early going for Novotel. I've really been inspired by their play. As we've talked about with Lance, he never takes himself out of a play.
No.
And you were just pulling up the stats here. He has got the second most saves in the league, I believe.
Yeah.
And has got over a 900. I think it's a 908 save percentage right now. So
Yeah.
for a part-time goaltender, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Excellent numbers.
Doing well. So I think this is a great move, not only for the Novotel Spitfires, but for Aware, for Lance, for Ben, for everybody involved.
The league.
For the league, yeah.
So
absolutely.
We're looking forward, and they're going to have an interesting test this coming week. They're going to be in the second game, the nightcap. We'll start there just because we're talking about them.
Yeah.
Aware going against KCG.
KCG. This is going to be This is going to be a big test for Lance. You know, I mean, he played well against KCG when he was playing for the Novotel Spitfires.
Got him the win.
So got him the win. Can he do it again?
I think this is going to be a really interesting game, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Aware could pull this off. But, as I've talked about many times before, my biggest thing is scoring first for them.
Yeah.
If you can get that initial pressure off of yourself.
Yes.
Right? Have a little
Especially
confidence.
now that they're 0-4.
Sure.
It's going to make a big difference.
And work with the talent on your roster. You've got great defensemen,
Yep.
very good forwards. Get some back checking. Support Lance. Do not get sustained pressure for KCD on the one hand. On the other hand, I'll just say really quickly, part of their modus operandi is to get a takeaway, to get a turnover, turn around and let their skill players bury it, right? So
Yep.
be crisp with your passes. Be careful. Look behind you. Is Harrison coming around or
Yeah,
is Jesse coming around?
Yeah, they definitely have to do that. And I'll tell you what, if Aware scores first, they're going to win. My opinion.
Heard it here.
If Aware scores first, I think, in my opinion, Aware will win because that's going to be what they needed to push them to get that extra step, to get that little extra fire in their step.
It's going to have a tall task with Liao, the top goaltender in
Yep.
the league statistically.
But it can be done.
It can be done. And you saw how Novotel was able to contain, right? They didn't shut them down,
No.
but they were able to contain KCG.
Yeah.
On KCG's part, it's encouraging to see their role players and some guys who came late now, Jan, because of the quarantine, Jari Arakainen stepping up.
Yeah.
How, now that we've kind of similar in this case to Novotel, right? They have so many different pieces that can hurt you.
Yes.
So,
but Aware has the players where they can compete with
I agree.
KCG. It's just a matter, can they score first? Can they play as a team? And I think this change, that's going to relieve a lot of the pressure, especially if they can score first. It's going to make a huge difference. If they score first, I think Aware will win.
sure. And flipping it back now to our first game, we've got Novotel going against Siam Mandalay.
Ooh. If Novotel does what they've been doing for 4 games, they will be 5-0.
It's tough to disagree with that. They have such
And
a
I don't want to
talent.
take anything away from Siam Mandalay. Jordan's got a great team behind him.
Getting a full roster back, hopefully, this
yeah.
week will be a big boost for them. We were encouraged by their play a couple weeks ago when they got their first win against Aware. I think they have the pieces too.
Yeah.
But when you turn around and look at your opponent, Novotel has just been so strong in the
Yeah.
early going.
Yeah.
I mean, we beat a dead horse here. There's so many players on that roster who can make you pay.
They play as a team. They don't try to do it as an individual effort. Whatever Mike did prior to the first game, he pulled these guys together as a team, and you see it. For the first 4 weeks, they play solidly as a team. Yeah, you have Stasny who had a hat trick. You have Friesen who had 2 goals last week. You have guys that do this.
Ken Kinborn leading the league in points.
Exactly. So it's like, but they're not doing it themselves.
Correct.
They are doing it as a team. I mean, the top 2 players in the league right now, Ken Kinborn, Mike Friesen. So I think it's going to be tough for Siam Mandalay.
You have to play a full 60-minute game against
57.
them. Excuse me. 57
I'm sorry, 51.
51-minute game, full game, let's just say,
Yeah.
against them, because as we saw in this previous week, even with all the momentum, tie game, you let off the gas for a moment, and you got a player like Friesen, player like Stasny, who in the final seconds of the game can bury it.
Yeah, and Ken. So it'll be interesting. In your opinion, what does CM have to do to pull off a win against the Spitfires?
Their biggest
outside of taking Ben out.
Sure. The biggest difference in this game was them coming out flat-footed this week against KCG.
Yeah.
Too many turnovers in your own zone. Too many giveaways.
Especially in the first period.
And you need to support Dream. We saw what they can do when Dream is supported. In his first game, phenomenal.
Yep.
If you give him a little bit of support, let him ease himself into this game, even though the quality of the opponent is so strong, I think he can steal a game for you potentially, but you have to support him.
Yeah.
Right? So if you do that,
Yeah.
and on the flip side for them, offensively, it's been a tough go for CM early. They just haven't put up a lot of points. As we've said, though, you've got guys on the back end who can produce, but you have to kind of have a more structured setup.
They need to come out,
play.
like we said about Aware, they need to come out on fire to start the game. They can't, especially against the Spitfires, they can't sit back and wait.
Take your game to them.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Don't play defense against Novotel.
No.
Try and play your offensive game.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
It'll be fun to watch. I'm looking forward to this week. I'm looking forward to see how Lance does with Aware. I'm looking forward to seeing if Jordan can pull his team back together. You know, so I think he has the ability to do it. I'd like to see it. So
I'd like to see how Ben and, as you said, Lance, how do you guys play as starting every week goaltenders now, right?
Yeah.
They've played excellently so far. I'm excited for the future to watch how these guys continue to play.
All right. That's all for this week. We'll see you at the rink.
The opposite was very strong. I was good.
CM Hockey League News is brought to you by Big Chili Magazine, the best read expat lifestyle and news magazine in Thailand. It covers interesting issues in Bangkok and the region while bringing its readers engaging stories and various exclusive interviews, food reviews, and more. You can find the Big Chili magazine in bookstores and online at thebigchili.com. The music for the opening and ending credits are brought to you by DJ Caucasian.